All right. Making sure I'm live. I should be. Well, I'll just go. I'll hope for the best. Oh, damn it. Anyways, hey everyone. Just doing it turned out okay. Welcome back to Talk Time with Caffeine. We had a little break because of the Google Hangouts little ending, but we're back now. And one of my guests today, at least for right now, is Tony Reed. You may remember him from my episode of based on his series, and I think you might have been in episode 2. Right? I can't remember.
What's that?
I'm trying to remember what episodes you were on this podcast.
I'm not sure either. But we guarantee you that I was on the show.
Yes.
It happened. I swear. I was there. I've been witness.
So last night, Tony here was in a debate or discussion with a very intelligent man. Tell us about that.
I debated Kent Hovind. It was an exercise of futility. I mean, everybody was telling me not to do it, and it's not that I wasn't trying to convert him. I don't expect him to learn anything. But what I was hoping for is that his viewers might learn a little something. And the whole point was to go after the idea of how do you apply your theory into the real world. He provided none of that. And I provided example after example. And so depending on what sucks is that depending on how scientifically literate you are, will depend on who you thought won.
And you said at the pre-talk, you said he pretty much had no new talking points. He pretty much had the same old cue cards. You could probably predict what he was going to say.
Yep. All of them. I mean, I knew what he was going to say. I knew I had my rebuttals ready. When he decided to tell me that no fossils count as evidence and they would never end up being accepted as evidence in a court of law, I pointed out the Dover trial, where obviously fossil whales were presented as evidence and they were accepted as evidence. And that's the reason why the creationists lost that trial. So I brought that up, and I got no response for that. But I mean, he's still repeating those same points.
Yeah, I saw that, and I think it was either it was Paul's tweet that he used his video as your video or something.
Oh yeah. At one point in time, he cited a video. It's like one of your videos. In one of your videos, you ridicule me this way, and he shows a picture, and it's none of my videos. I don't have any videos of myself and Apologia together. He does, so that means he must have watched the Apologia video. But that makes sense because Apologia is a much more popular channel than mine. So if you're going to type in Tony Reed, that's what's going to pop up first. So he probably watched that and thought it was one of my videos. I don't know.
So why? I think if I just did it, I didn't hear you. So why did you decide to put yourself through this?
It's been on my bucket list for about 15 years to debate him. I didn't think it would go the way it did. I really honestly thought he might have been. I mean, years ago, when I first started this desire to debate him, I thought he might be relatively intelligent, but there is something really wrong with him. I mean, I get the feeling he really believes what he's saying. And I don't know how to feel about that because the guy, he's charismatic enough. I don't know. The guy could be dangerous if he was doing something that anybody would take seriously.
So you wanted to debate him pre jail time?
Oh yeah, totally. Actually, at the time, I was trying to get a debate with forgot his first name, but it's Pendleton. I think it's Robert Pendleton, who likes to promote himself as a scientist because he's a chemist. But really, what he is, yeah, but really he's an auto mechanic. But I mean, he shows up dressed in the doctor's robe, and since I actually have my ministerial credentials, I thought it would be kind of cool to debate him, but dressed as a minister. And I never got the chance. And so, I mean, I thought may as well go ahead and jump for what I really wanted to do, which is debate Kent Hovind when I have the chance.
You know what's funny? I was like a churchgoer Christian for the first 31 years of my life, and I never even heard of Kent Hovind until after I dropped out of church a few years later.
Really?
So he's not apparently, at least in the Ohio area, he wasn't that big of a deal, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if I heard of him. Well, the thing is, YouTube obviously is the reason I've heard of him. But I mean, part of the reason I ended up having the How Creationism Taught Me Real Science show is because of his arguments. I mean, I went through every argument in his entire series of seminars, and in the end, I was like, I mean, I was able to fact check everything, and almost everything was wrong. Almost everything.
Almost everything? You mean, was something actually right?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you say when your prediction is, I predict there will be fossils. Yes, there will be fossils. You will find fossils. It will happen.
Oh, he said after. Okay. Apparently, after.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. I'm having a technical issue. Hold on. Be right back.
All right. Well, he's got fixed that problem, and then Jackson, we still soon will miscommunication. So today's podcast is brought to you by nothing, because I have no sponsors. If you want to sponsor me, go to my Patreon. Link down below. Well, link down below eventually. But or look up patreon.com/Vandalia998. You know you want to. Tony, he's back.
Sorry about that. Apparently, for this software you're using, it's very experimental. So if somebody should happen to call me, I'm getting knocked out every time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I guess it's a beta thing. Right, it's still on beta right now, but I don't know why. But OBS and stuff doesn't. This last time we tried that, it just lagged like crazy, and it only recorded like 2 seconds of conversation.
Well, apparently they let. I mean, they told me not to use my phone, but I mean, you saw. Oh, you didn't. You haven't watched it yet. No, I had some technical issues, so until I get those fixed, I'm gonna have to use my phone.
Yeah, I've done the phone live stream before. It's sometimes it's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about. Oh, I think last time we were talking about how in the 1 minute clip that got captured, it was about how people thought bats were primates, something like that.
We talked about that?
Yeah, for about a minute. The only thing on the
okay.
clip
Yeah, well, there was a time where, I mean, if you look at the physiology of a bat, other than the digits, they look really kind of like a primate. I mean, if you were to look at them physiologically, you might think they might be a primate of some sort or some relative of a primate. So yeah, I can see why people once thought that, but the genetic evidence obviously refutes that and shows that they most likely are more closely related to horses or any of the odd-toed ungulates.
Oh yeah. Was it because they looked like that? Was it Kalugo or something like that, or the flying squirrel? Similar, maybe. Those flying rodents, Kalugos.
Say that one more time.
Kalugos, Kaluga. Can't pronounce her name.
You mean like flying rodents?
Yeah, Kaluga. That's called.
Well, they're not even rodents, so even I mean that's a divergent evolution or convergent evolution.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much. I mean, I can see the similarity, but I mean bats. I mean their digits are what spans the wings. I mean, if you notice the whole bat symbol, it's because of the digits. And so if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know this for sure, but I think flying rodents, the wing extends from here down to the body. I may be wrong, and hopefully Jackson will be here because he might be able to tell us otherwise. He's pretty doggone smart.
Yeah, we had as he saw. We're talking on Facebook now. We had like a miscommunication. I thought after 6 meant he'd be here after 6, not that he was.
Okay.
Not till until he was leaving work at 6. Yeah, he never actually said in after 7. So my bad for not realizing that. So I guess we talk about if and when you're gonna make your comeback on YouTube proper.
It'll be the last Friday in October. It's going to happen. The last Friday in October, I'm going to be discussing Russell Humphrey's theory about actually 2 episodes in a row about Russell Humphreys. So I mean, I kind of do my episodes in couplets. So like you'll see 2 that are about transitional fossils. Then the next one will be about evolutionist frauds. And so I'm going to do 2 on Russell Humphreys.
What's it called? How Creationism Taught Me Halloween.
What?
It's the end of October. It's Halloween time. So.
I always tend to start my seasons out on the last Friday in October. It's just kind of a tradition. So once I had to take a break for personal reasons, but I decided when I come back, it would be October, the last Friday in October. And then after that, when I do any other Creationism Taught Me Real Science episodes, it'll be, one-offs. The series will end, but I'll still keep doing them.
Cool. So What have been your favorite episodes so far that you've done of the 90? I think it's been 90 something so far.
92 so far.
So what's ones have stood out to you?
What's that?
Which ones have stood out to you?
I really liked. I mean, if I was to say there's a few that stand out to me. The one that I really liked the one I did on the clotting cascade or the coagulation cascade, which I don't like to say. I hate the word coagulation. So in the video, I keep using the word clotting, but the name of the video is coagulation cascade. Meanwhile, before that, I really liked the one I did on mitochondrial Eve. If I was to have a least favorite, it would be the one I did about the Cambrian explosion. I wish I had done a better one, but that's what you're gonna have, good ones and bad ones. What can you do?
Yeah, I think I marathoned one night or one day, give or take some breaks here and there, and falling asleep.
Well, yeah. I fall asleep watching my own videos, so it's hard for me to. I can't marathon mine. It might be like 14 hours. I mean, how can you sit through that?
Well, at least they're pretty short clips. They're not like marathon, like Lord of the Ring length episodes.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's the thing. It's longer than Lord of the Rings. Not much, but it is longer.
Well, not all movies put together.
I've been getting a lot of requests for like a book, like to have everything put into a book form, and I might do that, but I'd rather have an ebook so that you can easily copy and paste into a debate of some sort. And I'd really like that, but I've got some people that have told me they want an actual physical copy, and I mean that doesn't appeal to me. But I mean, I'll do that. I'd rather give the information out for free. If I'm going to put it in a book form, obviously money's going to have to exchange hands. But I definitely want to make sure it's easily accessible to anybody.
I know you can always use the money for. Donate the money to something.
What was that?
You can always donate the money to somewhere.
I don't really do this for money. I mean,
yeah.
Well, the only reason I even ask for money to make the books is because it's going to cost me to make the books.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't really care. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't do this for money.
I know that, but like if you said that it costs people money to buy a book, so you said. But anyways, I wouldn't mind an ebook, because that would cost money too. I wouldn't mind like an audiobook version, because that's pretty what YouTube is pretty much.
Oh, come on. Well, you can get an audiobook for free. All you got to do is put a playlist together, and then just turn your screen down.
That's what I do.
And there you go.
That's what I do. That's what I do for YouTube most of the time when I'm walking to work. I listen to the videos. Of course, I do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
I do have an Audible account. I have all these like stuff from like all these like Richard Dawkins and all biology books. All these biology books on audiobook, and like what's that? That big, I forget what it's called. I have all these books from. Let me look this up real fast. My brain is dead. I can oxygen to it.
Christopher Hitchens?
No.
Sam Harris?
Not an author. It's like a program. The Great Courses.
Oh yeah. You subscribe to that?
Well, no, they have books on Audible, so I pick them up.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, mostly about history. Mostly history, some science. I was always more of a history buff than a science buff. I got into science more recently, but so anything about the science thing is more the history of it, and like the when stuff happened more than the how and stuff.
Right. I can see that.
But once you learn the when, you learn about the how too. Oh, ouch. So, I think the last episode you did was it Human Origins? Was that your last episode? Oh, hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackson!
It's me. Haha.
It's Jackson.
I am the one.
So it takes you 20 minutes to get home, huh?
Well, I had a lot of things, and so I really didn't actually leave until 6:05. So.
Yeah, it was my bad.
Oh, wow.
I thought when you said after 6, you meant literally after 6.
Yeah.
So we were just chatting up. We were talking about his series returning, and about his lovely time last night with the intelligent Hovind.
Yeah. Tony's series has been returning for how many years now? We're still waiting.
Coming back on the first Friday or the last Friday of October. I promise.
How racism taught me Halloween.
Yeah, you squared off with the Kent Hovind. Did you have fun?
It was part of my. It was shocking to me. There was times where, okay, like I told you in the messages, it was like he was on sodium pentothal. I could have. I mean, if we discussed something 5 minutes ago, he forgot it like 7 minutes ago. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, the guy just could not. If you establish something at one point, but like 5 minutes later, he forgot it already. Especially because at the very beginning of the argument, I told him, I'll give you that creationism is correct. I'll give you that evolution is wrong. All I want to know is what are the scientific applications. And even if evolution is wrong, it still has scientific application. Even if creationism is 100% correct, it still has no scientific application. And he never addressed that argument ever.
I thought something. Maybe that's why he always the same talking. Maybe that's why he had the same talking points all the time. It's all I can remember. He has them written down. Like fossils die. Remember that checkpoint?
You're probably right.
Yep.
It's all in his brain. Like checkpoints.
Well, as long as he can keep milking his cash cow audience, he doesn't really need anything else. So, but oh well. But you got him. We got him.
Is that really such
Did you see it? Have you seen it yet, Jackson?
I haven't watched it yet. I just saw it it was in my recommendeds last night, so I have it saved, but I haven't watched it yet.
There's a lot of technical issues. I had some technical issues, so I ended up not being able to use any of my slides, and I'd love to hear your opinions of it.
Of your slides?
No, of the debate. Come on.
Can I just
wait? What are we talking about again?
Can I just skip past his part and go straight to your parts?
Right.
Yeah. Let's forget about Tony.
We're talking about skipping Hovind's parts and going to yours. Because we all know what Hovind's gonna say. We all know his his talking points, But oh well. At any rate.
Anyways, about a month ago, we tried to do this, but OBS was a bitch. But now this new system, hopefully, lagging a thing of the past. So, a lot of the main topic today is peer-reviewed theories and how a hypothesis gets from that to a journal. And I figured Jackson here would be the best person to talk about it.
Well, I'm probably not the best person to talk about it. You could probably find someone who's actually peer-reviewed.
Let me rephrase that. The best person that I personally know to talk about it.
All right, well, I hope that's a compliment. First of all,
we talk about the difference between the scientific words and the public words, because when people say it's just the theory,
right?
Oh,
yeah. In layman's terms, people often think of a theory as just a guess. Why did my alarm clock not work this morning? Well, I have a theory, but obviously in science, that's not how we use the term. Theory is a very rigorously tested and studied system of models which are able to make predictions about the world. And so very different from just, I have a guess. It takes years of experimentation and observation before you actually develop a theory. So does that sound fair, Tony?
I have nothing to add.
It's pretty. From I've read, it's like built on other people's past theories or guess, whatever. They build on top of each other, or they replace each other.
Yeah, you just keep putting people on top of other people, and eventually you get a theory. But yeah, I mean, theories don't just spring forth from the earth. They are built on generally decades, if not centuries of research. And they just continue to accrue research because you can never, science is all about, science isn't about, proving anything. Science is about providing support for positive support for hypotheses. And so you can never 100% prove a theory, but you can disprove a theory.
That's what I heard. I was going to say that. I've heard that saying before. A theory can never be proven; it can only be disproven.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. I kind of went over that last night, and that was kind of that was the whole point of my even participating, is that you take a theory, and I even pointed out it's never proven. It just either has predictive power or it doesn't. And then, of course, that's when Hovind began his predictions. I predict that we'll see fossils.
Which is not a prediction. That's something I think about that because I was actually just the other day I was thinking about his debate with the three professors. It's one of those. It's like really famous. Yep. He wore like a velvet jacket or whatever, and debates these three professors. Where he goes on for like 5 minutes about predictions of creationism, but every single one is just an observation. I predict love should exist. Love.
Yeah, we already see that.
I predict the sun will rise. It's like it's already risen. What are you talking about? A prediction is not an observation you've already made. You can't take a bunch of. Now you can have an observation support your hypothesis, obviously, but you can't predict things you've already observed. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That's not what a prediction is by definition. So
I predict
that's the first thing I opened up with, is that you make these predictions that are post-predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he didn't really react well to that.
I will predict eventually you will click the end call button.
Oh yeah. Yeah. it's it's really funny because even the things that are big talking points of young Earth creationists typically aren't even predictions. Like genetic entropy is one of their favorite talking points. Not actually a prediction of young Earth creationism. Technically, the Earth or the life could have been created with the capacity to increase in complexity. Genetic entropy does not necessitate from the Earth being 6,000 to 10,000 years old. You could predict. Well, one prediction that should be true is we should see evidence of a global flood all over the Earth. That would be a necessary prediction if there were a global flood, but of course, there's none. So, same with, we should expect evidence of kinds in the genes or the morphology or the fossils of organisms, and there is absolutely none. So,
you gotta put the quarter in a jar. That's my new rule. If you ever say the K word, you gotta put the quarter in the K word jar.
Oh God.
I'm not sure I have enough quarters. I'll have to just be drawn and quartered, I guess.
Nice one.
Yeah, I made that rule a few years ago when I was having the podcast with Gabe and Brett. Like, we made a rule like you use the K word, you got to put the quarters in the jar.
All right, well, I'll mail it to you. How about that?
Kind of like the like when you curse, the cursing jar, you put
Right.
dollar and whatever. use that creationist favorite word.
Well, fine. I'll just say Barrowman instead. Does that work around it? It's such a contrived word. It's really funny, I think. But at any rate,
so
aren't all words contrived? I guess.
Also, what's the thing about people saying that? People back in terminology and stuff about how they're saying it's not a law yet, and how laws are different than theories and stuff, and it's like not the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Laws are typically mathematical formulas of how something is supposed to work. They're going to be like a law is going to happen. This is how we describe this thing mathematically. Newton's laws. They're right. They don't explain everything, obviously. That's why Newtonian physics got replaced with, Einsteinian physics. But
have they been replaced yet, or are they still a thing?
Well, no, I mean, like an object in space will travel forever until acted upon by an outside force. That's true. Okay. That's just going to be true. F equals ma. That's true.
Okay. I meant how not been replaced. I meant the Einstein theory. Add on top of another layer.
Yeah,
right?
Because it's added just another layer to it. I mean, obviously, Darwin's original theory of evolution has been very much buried under new models and hypotheses and observations. So,
but he's the talking point. They always say Darwin theory. Like, well, maybe that was true back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Darwin's original theory back in 1859. He proposed his theory was proposing a phyletic gradualism, natural and sexual selection, and of course we know now that's not the whole picture. It's just a part of the picture. So,
right. So actually, in my show, I've gone out of my way to explain that theories explain why laws exist, but that laws themselves are not anything other than descriptions of what we actually see.
Right.
And that's why they're overturned. Every once in a while, we do have laws that are overturned, and it's not like a jury overturned them.
Sure.
We just discovered that they aren't quite accurate.
Right. Yeah, there are laws in biology. There are a few laws in biology. Biology isn't very conducive to lawmaking because everything has a counterexample, I guess. There's one that's like a law. It's called a law but it's not really. It's really just a statement on the statistical probability of certain evolutionary trends being reversed, which it can technically be true on very small levels, but is more applicable on larger levels.
Yeah, I think back about 5 years ago when I was doing an essay on this stuff for writing class, I was writing an essay about evolution, and I think a law I remember reading, it might have been a law out there, I forget. It was about it was written by the pea plant guy.
Gregor Mendel.
Yeah. I think he did a law.
Oh, well,
wait, hold on. No, what is this law that you're talking about? I got to look it up. What is it?
What,
I
mine?
think it was like 5.
Or,
yeah, the one you were talking about.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't remember the name of it. I mean, I just remember. I remember Dawkins talks about it a little bit in The Blind Watchmaker. It's not really referenced a whole lot because it's kind of, it doesn't seem to really apply in a lot of cases. I mean, it's kind of a generally, like, it's generally true, so it's not something to really think about, but I'm sure I can find it. Oh, get off, cat. I'm sure I can find it if I look.
nah, don't worry about it. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm going to worry about it now, Tony. Now I'm specifically going to worry about it because you said not to. But yeah, oh, well, you're right. There are the Mendelian laws of inheritance, the law of segregation, and independent assortment. Yeah. So
let's say, like your topic, let's say hypothetically, you came up with a hypothetical hypothesis, like say some, I don't know, you want to prove like like maybe natural selection will weed out creationists or something like that, or
it will certainly from academia, but I mean, we could, Jackson's postulate that as time goes on, there will be fewer creationists in academia.
So you have that hypothesis. Where does it go from there?
Well, we could test it. We could look at creationists who have been in departments over time and watch the downward spiral, or we should predict a downward spiral. Well, with a regular hypothesis, you ask a question generally, and so you gather data related to your question. You make a series of either observations or experiments or both, and these will either support or cause you to either support or reject your hypothesis, at which point you can write a technical paper on it and then present this to the scientific community at large so that other people in the relevant field can critique your hypothesis. And if it survives multiple rounds of peer review, then it's a true hypothesis. But over time, as you add more and more data, it can become a model. It can become a model within a larger theory, unless it's something just brand new and becomes its own theory.
Really fast, if you're in the chat, we have a person in the chat right now.
Okay.
I can't pronounce her name. Nervadella.
Okay.
She became she's pretty much new on YouTube. I invited her. So all right, so I got distracted. So you had the thing. So but now you proved that. Now other people prove it too, right? You can't just say I proved this. You have other people do it too.
Well, yeah, you have to find some evidence that is positively indicative of your hypothesis, and then you present that to others, and they'll critique it. Hello there. So, yeah, and then Yep, you undergo peer review. There's one picture of peer review that I really like, and it's like a scientist with a paper, and there are a bunch of other scientists with like, bats and clubs and stuff. And at the very end of the road, there's
Yep.
Death himself holding the scythe. I like that picture a lot. I think it's very funny.
I've used it a couple times.
Is that saying like most of the time people are dead before their theories are like saying that's a good theory?
People
Yeah,
don't realize how brutal that process is. It's a very brutal process, and that's before it's even. I mean, once it's peer reviewed, you get somebody to peer review it. It doesn't end. Peer review does not end. It's amazing.
Yep.
I love reading about peer review. I love when things are proven wrong. Maybe it's the punk in me. I don't know, but I love it.
So finally, it's proven right. Other people prove it too. So it goes into a journal of a certain like either biology or.
Oh, Tony, I found it. I found the law I was referring to. It's called
great.
It's called Dallow's Law of Irreversibility.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. How do you spell it?
Dollo. Dallo. Which really it's called, like I said, it's called a law, but it's really not a law. It's just a statement on the statistics of reversing evolutionary trajectories.
So there's different so there's different journals too, right? It's not like one big scientific like the Journal of Medicine or Journal of whatever, right?
Oh yeah, there are thousands and thousands of journals. There are there's an entire journal for the protist Euglena. An entire journal just for that one genus of protist. There's an entire journal on lactation. So yeah, there are some journals are very inclusive, like Nature and Science. I mean, well, when I say inclusive, I don't mean that they just accept anything. It's the topics, the breadth of topics that are published in them. It's a lot. It's a lot, as opposed to something that's very topic specific, like the Euglena Journal or the Lactation Journal or something like that.
Or Creationist Journal.
Yeah, creationist journals are kind of like that in that they can publish anything, in their journal because it's all in-house. It's just 10 people, right? So you can publish whatever you want. But
Oh God. Oof.
All right. Just so you know, Dallow's Law is actually pretty fascinating. I like that.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. It's something worth pursuing. Obviously, it can't be right every time, but gosh, it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, we'll never not be, the ancestors of amniotes and, things like that. But at the same time, you can kind of reverse, or, the features that have come with being amniotes, we're probably not going to lose those. But if it's like a single mutation.
But we are the ancestors of amniotes. Our kids are amniotes.
We're the descendants of amniotes, yeah. But on the other hand, though, if it's like you gain one mutation in one generation, there's a possibility that mutation could be reversed in the next one. So,
aren't we still amniotes now?
Yeah, we're still amniotes.
We'll always be.
Yeah, we'll always be amniotes because we're part of that.
That's a joke. Yeah, like you said, I was thinking you said you can never be the ancestors of amniotes.
We'll never not be the ancestors of amniotes.
Yeah, that's
double negative. My good English. Well, down here in the South, we're allowed to say such things, aren't we? I don't know.
So you live in the Bible Belt area?
I am here in Louisiana. One
thing I never said about journals is how hard they're to get. to find sometimes. Like, at least for me, at least. I don't know. You guys might have better access to them.
It depends, I guess. I just think Wikipedia is a good place to start for looking up data, and then you can track their references,
Okay.
and then you can go to those journals. And
is it true you have to pay to use them, or is that not true?
A lot of times, yes, but there are some ways around that. But yes, typically they're behind a paywall. So they're.
You got to be really dedicated to getting information out.
Yeah, I mean, that's why nature is like crazy expensive. So that's why a lot of times if you want to read a nature article open access, you have to go to a university library or something because they'll have a subscription to Nature. But
yeah, so that's something you could probably find at your local library.
Yeah, possibly.
Probably find basics. Of course, then again, that's how I learned stuff. Really, just start out with. That's how most people start. This basic books and stuff for internet.
Hmm.
That's how I knew creationism wasn't a thing even back then. I was reading this history books about these deep time stuff, all this trilobites and stuff way back then. Then later I found out 6,000 years. What?
Yeah, that's it's a little funny. They're a little funny, those creationists. They're you gotta love them, right? The little hucksters.
Yeah, I think my first thing was that, like, I think I mentioned before. My first thing was like, wait a minute, how can the flood have happened 4,000 years ago if the Native Americans crossed the land barrier 10,000 years ago?
Oh, but they didn't. They crossed after the Tower of Babel. Their culture and their history doesn't matter. What matters is we've imposed our history over theirs, and that's what matters.
Oh yeah, how?
What matters is they have a flood story of their own.
There you go. They have their own vague flood-ish story. What's interesting? Is there's an article on Talk Origins which compares flood stories across like 100+ cultures. To say every culture has a flood story when actually they don't. Not all cultures do have flood stories. But to just say, oh, well, there's a flood is such a hilarious oversimplification. I mean, it is, because some are global, many are not global. They're just a local flood. Some are the gods got flooded, or some are like the animals were flooded, things like that. People turned into animals. And so, I mean,
some are creation events, actually.
Actually,
yeah.
I just realized that the same thing with languages. How the Earth, how the animals were created at one point, so are all the languages too. They are created at one point in time. So the languages, slowly going out and developing new languages.
Mm-hmm.
They're all happening at one time on Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Okay, you're Latin, you're Spanish, you're American, you're English, or whatever it was back then.
Yeah, but creationists aren't really concerned with the actual history. So why read all these other hard books when you can read the one? Wasn't that one of those memes that was around? I'm sure Atheist Public probably still tweets it out from time to time. But
was that the thing? Was that the thing that was it? Kent said during his debate with Bill, like, there's a book.
Yeah, there's a book, mate.
I've got a book.
Oh yeah, yep. I you know what Bill Nye could say later? Hey, I've got a book too.
I got several books.
I've actually got 2 books, and I saved the world in one of them. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so he could say that. Yeah. Oh, must be nice to have a book.
Hey, you're gonna have a book soon, aren't you? Aren't you working on a book?
The one with RJ, The Rocks Were There, which is over halfway done at this point. RJ says that we should have it done by Christmas, and I think
Ooh.
RJ is RJ's a bit hopeful.
Oh, I can say it's gonna be a stocking stuffer. Like,
Yeah, ha 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 ha. Yeah.
I hope RJ's right.
School is kind of a big part of why I'm not writing every day. So it's not like during history when I could just, or during the summer when I could just, just spend a few hours writing something. Well, now I've got school, which takes up most of the day. And then I come home and I'm like, I don't want to write now. But it happens sometimes. But I actually just RJ just sent me back a chapter a little while ago, or a few days ago, whatever. I guess it was over a week now, so that I could edit it, or I could read his edits of it, go through those, and send it back for the final edits. And he's working on a chapter on geology right now, which predominates with Andrew Snelling and John Whitmore.
I've heard of Snelling. I've never heard of Whitmore before.
Snelling is an actual geologist. Actually, Whitmore and Snelling are both actual geologists. They have actual creds in geology, and they both contributed actual technical literature. Snelling, I think, focuses on, I think he's Australian, if I remember correctly. He focuses on
South African, I thought.
Is he?
I think he came from South Africa.
Oh, maybe.
I might be wrong.
You might be right. But he has done stuff with like uranium mines and things like that. Whitmore, on the other hand, we read a little bit of his technical literature for the chapter involving the preservation of these fish fossils at a locality called Green River Formation, which is an Eocene Lagerstatt in the west. It's like Wyoming and I think Utah and a lot of other western states. And so it's this very big, or it's this very nice Eocene Lagerstatt. It's got hoof mammals and fish and even like caddisfly burrows in the dirt. It's fascinating.
I've never recited all this before. I can't remember now, but something about how proteins are. People are looking at proteins now to learn stuff instead of just DNA.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I don't know. I can find that. You can find that thing.
But yeah.
In the meantime, let me just tell you, you already know because of the kind of last episode I do of every season.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm wrong. I think Andrew Snelling is from Australia.
I don't know.
Sorry.
We can look this up. I guess I've the internet open right here. What a crazy thing. Andrew Snelling.
Yeah, I think
he is.
Well, at least he got his PhD from University of Sydney.
I see that.
I don't know where he's from.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, maybe it doesn't say on here. Well, let me check the Answer to Genesis website. It might say over there. Maybe that's why I thought he was Australian, because he got his FPA over there.
Oh, there it is. I found it.
His FPA. No, it just says he got his. It just says he got his degree in Sydney. No,
last
they don't
seen in Australia.
Okay, well, I guess I don't know. I have no idea if he's actually from Australia. That's where he got his degree.
I mean, that would make it worse. I mean, if he was just South African, it'd be cool, but Australian? I mean, come on.
Australia has a habit of producing creationists, apparently.
What the heck is that? I mean, I've noticed that too.
Australia or New Zealand isn't the other guy from?
Oh yeah, New Zealand's another one. Ray Comfort, the Kiwi.
Yeah, right. Comfort.
Yeah. Mm.
I found the link I was talking. I found it. Let me forward it to you.
Okay.
Hold on. There.
What is this? Protein sequencing.
Sequencing images.
Protein sequencing, not DNA, could be the best way to reconstruct evolution.
That's the American thing. Let's see.
Generation of peptides. Well, I mean, I'll have to. I'm not familiar with this. I see it's Bill's website. I'm not familiar with this stuff, so I'd have to probably read it. So
Yeah, I just learned it about. I saw it last night myself. So, and I'm not.
She was on.
I'm just wondering how it's a creationist argument. I mean, how does this support creationism?
Because science. Also, Nervardia, she was on Paul's channel the other day.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds familiar. Yeah. Good job on Paul's channel. Now they're let's see, Tony and I have been on Paul's channel,
And you've been on, and more importantly, you've been on my channel because
there you go. Yeah,
you went up in the you went up in the world. Just kidding.
yeah. I had a video that's on R&R's channel now. So huzzah! A collab I did.
That was by the way, that was an awesome video. I love that one.
Well, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I learned about Jackson from his. I think it was from his talking about will sex.
Good times. That was also that was at the request. The whale sex video, which is one of my most popular videos, by the way, was made at the request of Paul and Shannon. So
yeah,
I was actually that was right around New Year's, and I was in the car, and I was listening to their video, and I was like, "What did they say?"
And I think I learned of Paul through Tony. I was watching Tony's series, and
I did too. Yeah.
And then playlists,
yeah,
Tony playlist, and then he popped up, so I clicked that video, and it's like a big connection. As the circle of YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul is blown up, though. I mean, Paul has done great.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I learned about. I didn't know about Paul until I watched Tony, and then I met RJ through Paul. So,
and you all met me,
dude. That guy, I talked to him I talked to him about a week and a half ago. I was like, dude, I don't know anybody who knows their stuff like you do. But what would you tell me about debating Kent Hovind? Because the guy, I mean, RJ knows his stuff. I wish I knew how you met him. I mean, obviously you met him through Paul, but dude, that guy knows his stuff. That guy is way up. I feel really bad being on each show with him because what can I possibly say?
Well, we also have to go RJ. Paul is amazing. I agree. I actually got to meet Paul at the Faithless Forum. I met like all of the YouTubers at Faithless Forum. Tony, I'm surprised you didn't go to that.
I want to go to that one of these days because I get to get a ride or something.
I will eventually.
Yeah, I don't know where you are in relation to Dallas, but
I am far from Dallas, but
okay,
but I do want to go to that yearly ARC thing because I live an hour away from that by car.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I live in Dayton, around the Dayton, Ohio area. So like I live about an hour from Cincinnati, and that's around the area the ark's at.
Yeah. I only went to the thing in Dallas because it's Dallas is only 3 hours from me, so I was like, well, heck, they're all going to be there, and that it's Thomas Westbrook, Cosmic Skeptic, Rationality Rules, Aaron, Matt Dillahunty, just the whole like everybody, Seth Andrews, every one of the people, they were all there, and I was like, when I walked into the room, I was like, I know that person, and that person, and that person, and that person.
Yeah, get your autograph book out there, like.
That's true. The one time I was near Tony, I don't remember if I didn't know where Tony was or, I don't think I knew where Tony was, but I drove essentially right past him. And afterwards he was like, why didn't you come say hi? So and he's gone silent on us.
He might have a call. He's using his phone, and when he gets a call, the thing kicks him out. That's the down thing about using your phone apparently for this beta thing, this new StreamYard thing. But his computer, apparently from last night, his computer crashed, whatever, and you get it fixed before you can do anything.
Yeah.
So.
No, I just had to go take care of a domestic issue, and unfortunately, I didn't want you guys to hear about it, so I had to go take care of it.
Domestic issue. That sounds like violent. So. I had to
didn't it? Yeah.
Issue.
Yep. This episode is gonna be drama free.
He's like off screen. What did I tell you? Get back.
Give me my money.
That is something I didn't hear it.
No, yeah, I do remember that. Why didn't you come by? Why didn't you tell me you were around?
I don't think I knew where you were when I went through. Then afterwards, I said I posted all the pictures on Facebook, and you were like, "You were here? Why didn't you come by?" I was like, "I didn't even know." But now I do know, and I'm probably never going to be over there again.
Oh, come on. Everybody comes to Vegas at some point in time.
Well, it's funny.
2 or 3 times.
It's funny because my mom was like, well, we went, because we had family over in California. She's like, well, I went to visit the family 20 years ago, and it'll probably be another 20 years before we go back.
Ooh, speaking of Vegas, you ever thought about doing your Creationism Taught Me Real Science as a stand-up in Vegas?
Yeah, Tony, yeah.
I've done something like it. I not quite that, but I did make a joke about the Catholic Church, because the audience participation, you stand up, you sit down, and all that kind of stuff. I basically made a joke that was equivocating it to the Rocky Horror Picture.
Yeah, I want to see that now. Rocky Horror Picture.
Yeah, because of all the the audience interaction. I mean, there's nobody dancing around the pulpit in lingerie, or at least they're not supposed to be.
Might get a few more viewers.
I would like to see Tony dance around in lingerie.
Never say those words again.
In that order, or just those words in particular?
In that order.
So Jackson, you have you started a new series. Is it co-op? Was it one episode, or is it gonna be a whole co-op with Aaron?
Oh no, that one was just a kickstart, and I thought, because I've actually got 2 series that I've started recently: genetics and zoology, and I should be doing the next genetics video fairly soon. But in that case, I was just like, taxonomy. Aaron does taxonomy. Hey, Aaron, would you be interested in doing this? And he was like, yeah. So I said, awesome, let's do it. And so we did.
He's like the taxonomy man. I mean, he knows his taxonomy. Yeah, he's freaking amazing there. By the way, I will tell you, with your videos, the problem with them is it takes me 45 minutes to get through them, because every time you reference something, I look it up. Not because I don't believe you, but because that's freaking amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, the last time we tried to do this, I had an example on hand for that. I don't remember that example anymore. But that does happen. Where he's gone. No, that does happen.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Where I'll read something and I'll be like, really? Wow. I did find out a professor I'm taking this semester co-authored a paper. It was not a paper I used, but it was a paper I saw referenced in one of the papers I used, and I was like, that name looks familiar. And I clicked on the paper and I looked through it and I was like, well, holy crap, that's him. So, and I asked him about it and he was like, oh yeah, paper was from a while ago. So that was a long time ago I read that paper.
Like that paper, that paper still usable now, or has it been disproven?
Oh no, yeah, it was about the position of Amberella, which is a flower that grows one of those islands. I can't remember what island it is, but anyways, this flower is sister to, is it all other flowers, if I remember correctly? I think it's a flower that's sister to all the other flowers, but I have to check again. Amberella, because it's
Nothing vague about that. Yeah.
No, wait. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So Amberella is sister to all other flowers, all other angiosperms. This is the most basal living flower. Now, what's crazy about it is the carpel is, so the carpel's is a modified leaf. But the thing about it, in most flowers, when the carpel forms, the sides of it fuse together. Well, the carpel in Amberella doesn't fuse. It's like it's still in the process of on the way to fusion. It has, the sides are coated in this sticky residue, and so they just stick together. They don't fuse together. And so it's kind of like it's on the way to the fusion event. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I did like your I did like your series about that one of the series, but your episode about flowers and how because most people don't do things about plants.
Yeah, I felt compelled to do that video because I saw a Vice Rhino video where Frank Turek said, those Darwinists don't even know how we're related to plants. And I said, actually, and so then I was like, actually, why don't I do a video about it? And so
I thought they don't really. I thought they've known it for a while now.
Well, I say well. So the base of so you have the eukaryotic tree, right? You got your three domains. You've got bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So there are a couple major supergroups. There are like 5 or 6 supergroups, depending on who you ask. And they're sort of broken down into 3 clades, again, depending on who you ask, which are excavata, diaphoretics, and amorphia, which has also been called uniconta. So you have these 3 clades, sort of, because excavata might not be necessarily one clade. It might actually be paraphyletic. It might not be sister to diaphoretics. It might be sister to the clade where diaphoretics and uniconta are sister to each other. Diaphoretics might be chromista and is it archaeplastida? They might be sister to each other, or they might not necessarily be.
That like how like eukaryote might be branched off from Archaea, or they might be within Archaea?
Well, they are. You carry a branched off from within Archaea. We are an Archaean who engulfs a bacterium.
So it's official. So I don't know if it was officially scientifically, accepted, and if it was a 3-branch thing, or it's technically only a 2-branch thing now. So it's so technically.
Yeah, with there was the ES. Well, the ESN hypothesis was proposed back in the 80s by James Lake and his colleagues, but then the other one, the 3 domains, kind of took over, where you have bacteria, archaea, and eukarya, and they're separate from each other. But based on more recent phylogenetic analyses, there are certain groups of archaeans that are actually more closely related to us than they are to the main Archaean clade, which is called Euryarchaeota. And these groups are Depan, Tak, and I think you're going to love this, the Asgard superphylum. Yeah, it's got an awesome...
Why really?
Yeah, the Asgard superphylum. It's got Loki Archaeota, Thor Archaeota, what's the other one? I think there's another one. I can't remember which one it is.
It's weird how people get the first discover the first people to discover stuff get the name thing.
Is there not an Odin Archaeota?
That might be the other one. That might be it. But what's cool about it is, that actually the Loki or Loki Archaeota were the first ones to be discovered because they're from this area called Loki's Castle, which is I think by Iceland. So you got this area of volcanoes, a bunch of hydrothermal vents, and they found this new group of Archaeans, and turns out they're actually sister to eukaryotes. So you've got a couple of different Archaeans that are more closely related to eukaryotes than they are to the main clade of Archaea. But with plants, really, to go back to plants, there are questions as to the very bottom clades as to who is most closely related to who, because there's something like 2 billion years of history since our common ancestor with plants. So
I made a joke about that one real fast. Not to be funny, but I made a joke one time about how if they were people intelligent, but like plants were like the lazy people that are curious. They're like we're tired of making our own food. Let's kidnap this cyanobacteria and have make food for us. And thus plants are born.
Yeah, there are endosymbiotic events occurred a bunch of times. We have Lynn Margulis to thank for, as well as her team to thank for the endosymbiosis theory, because they kind of figured out, hey, this mitochondria looks an awful lot like a bacterium, and so it turns out that endosymbiosis is kind of rampant through eukaryotes. There's one. I was actually talking with Nestle earlier today, and he mentioned how there was a rhodophyte, which is a red algae that became an endosymbiont of the clade Chromista. So there's a question as to whether was this rhodophyte, did it become an endosymbiont at the base of Chromista, or was it an endosymbiont a bunch of different times? So it's kind of interesting. Neat stuff.
Yeah, so. I know 3 of. So first of all, we are first we were an Archaean. We got a protective cell around us. Became a eukaryote. Then we kidnapped whatever was the ancestor of mitochondria first, and then some of the plants kidnapped the cyanobacteria, and then they went off on their own. Mm-hmm. Do you think every, I don't know this yet prove it now, but you think maybe every one of the, what are they called, those little things called in their, I can't remember what they're called, or used to be bacteria, or what's that word called?
Archaea?
No, not archaea.
Not bacteria.
The things in eukaryotic cells.
Nucleus.
No.
Golgi apparatus.
Mitochondria.
No, God. God.
Lysozyme.
Golgi apparatus.
Hey, I already said Golgi apparatus. I actually read
I
about.
wanted to take credit.
I actually was reading a paper about the Golgi apparatus, which is implicated in how the eukaryotic flagellum formed. Believe it or not.
Oh my God! I can't wait to hear about it.
Wait, for real?
No, I actually can't wait to hear about it. Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's because the job of the Golgi apparatus is to package proteins. It's to take in, package, and ship proteins off. And so there's a possibility that it was involved in packaging and transporting microtubules. And if you could collect a bunch of them in essence one corner of the cell, it could create a bulge in that corner of the cell, which could eventually be made into the flagellum. There were other steps to it, but that was kind of the overview.
And it doesn't originate from the type 2 secretory system?
No, that's the bacterial flagellum. Each of the different domain flagella, or the flagella in each domain originated sort of differently. Like you said, the bacterial flagellum is homologous to the type 3 secretory system. The do it.
Ooh, organelles. That's the word.
I hear us playing in the background. Why is this? Why do I hear us?
The word was organelles. I was thinking of.
What happened on that was on my end, I think. I don't know what the heck that was happening. The Archaean, good Lord. The Archaean flagellum is homologous, I think, to the type 4, is it pili? Type 4 pilus, if I remember correctly. But then of course, the eukaryotic flagellum is structured differently because it's made from microtubules instead of flagellin, like the prokaryotes. So, good times.
Yeah, that was my question. Do you think all organelles in the eukaryotic cells used to be bacteria or whatever?
No,
got hijacked.
That was the serial endosymbiont hypothesis that Margulis proposed, and I think it's wrong.
So only those two, only the chloroplast and the mitochondria used to be.
I mean, it's possible there are others. I don't think all of the organelles were endosymbionts.
Yeah, to think of that word, I decided to look up Google.
Yeah. The Margulis is like, hey, what if everything was endosymbionts? What, Tony?
Actually, hey, I was going to ask you, do you know if chloroplasts have their own DNA?
I believe they do. I believe they have a circular chromosome too.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, pretty sure. Pretty sure.
Isn't that how we learned? Isn't that how we learned that they were connected to cyanobacteria?
Yeah, chloroplast DNA. Yep. They got their own.
Did that happen before or after learning that mitochondria had their own DNA?
Probably after.
Well, I know they probably got absorbed after because they both have mitochondria.
Well, I bet they figured out that that it has its own DNA after the mitochondria.
Okay.
I would bet. I'm not entirely positive, but I would bet that they did.
Another research video for you.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked. I have a show where I research. So yeah, that's what I was going to. Thanks.
Hey, it just so happens.
Thanks, Scoob, you gave me a hint.
This spin-off series, How Jackson Week Taught Me Real Science.
Oh, no. I don't teach people real science. I just teach people fake science.
No, dude, I love the way you teach. I mean, you do a great job. I love what you do. and I never get bored. The only problem is it takes me 45 minutes to get through a video. Not because I doubt you, but I gotta find out. Oh my God, is what he's saying that's awesome.
No one.
You say a lot. You what?
I said no one can doubt me.
What you mean you
Not now? No.
You have to. You mean you research things and you don't take things for word value? Like you're not a sheep farmer?
I don't
That's
believe
crazy,
anybody.
Tony.
I don't believe anybody. I second guess Jackson for fun, but anybody else, the whole point is I know, I get it. You've never been wrong yet, but every time I look up something,
no, I'm just kidding.
Every time I see something, I'm like, what? I always look it up, and you put a lot of stuff that's very interesting. The whole thing about whale evolution. Oh God, especially with whale sex, you derailed a lot of my life. You just I derailed most of my life for a while.
I mean, I have a team which fact checks my stuff.
You have your own team now.
I do. I have a group. I got a group of several people who fact check my stuff. They read over, they edit it, because it's really embarrassing when I'm wrong. It's really embarrassing to be wrong, because then you got to be like, well, crap, and I got to put in the description, or I got to do an errata video or something, and it's like, God. Now everyone who watches this video,
do an errata video. Do you know how awesome? I mean, the response I get from my errata videos is much better than any other episode I get. I got my fans that just not fans. They're not fans. They are subscribers. They're viewers. And they fact, there's no fans, because the first thing that if I get something wrong, you're going to call me on it. Once you find something, and most of the people that watch my videos, they call me on anything I get wrong, which I reward them by shouting them out, don't I? And I do that because I love that.
That's what you do every 20 videos. You do that. I was wrong. I wrong. Yep. And I was admitted. Like, I wonder if we're going to do that with your debater. It's like Kent's like, I was wrong.
Never happened.
Kent say he was wrong. Oh my gosh, that would be something. That would be like, I'm pretty sure that would kill Aaron, probably. Like, he would just die if that happened.
So what was the first thing that you had to admit that you were wrong about?
Whom?
Tony or me?
Either or.
Well, I mean, clearly I've never been wrong. So no.
What about you, Tony?
What was the first? I have no idea what the first thing was. I've been wrong about a bunch of different things. I don't remember what the first thing was.
But in your series, Tony, that you thought was, and you like in episode 20, you're like, I was wrong.
That's the problem. Is it like the first season I did? I took on such basic concepts that anything that was wrong was very nitpicky. But in the second season and the third season, the fourth season, it all got a little bit more detailed. So I don't know where I really took offense at anything being wrong. But I also decided that when I did the very first video, that the last episode of the season would be about what I got wrong, because I was very impressed by Potholer 54. He did 2 errata videos, and then Aaron Ra, he did at least 1 errata video, and I thought, that's right, impressive. People just admitting they're wrong. Yes, he totally did. I've always thought that was impressive. Yeah, of course. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Been around. I've been on YouTube for a while. Just, well, it's a long story, but anyway, I
haven't heard him in a while.
I would say at least 2014. I realized I was really wrong at the end of 2014. I was like, oh man, I made all kinds of mistakes, And I decided instead of trying to cover them up, I went, let me just go ahead and shout out the people that got me wrong. And in the end, who would have thought that people liked calling me out? And so now that's a sport. Now every time somebody finds that I'm wrong, that's how I shout them out at the end. Yeah, watch my episode, and then at the end of the show or at the end of the season, I'm gonna point out how awesome you are and how messed up I am. I don't mind. I love it. I like being proven wrong.
Yeah. I make mistakes. One of my biggest errors, though, apparently, the thing that everyone calls me out on when I do it is pronunciation. I get hounded by people on my pronunciation of things, and it's definitely warranted. I understand why. I get it. I got it. But I just, these people rake me over the coals on my pronunciation of things.
But is it as bad?
Oh, really?
As
Hey, Jackson, how do you pronounce the word that describes dolphins, whales, porpoises? What's that word?
Cetaceans.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I got
Tony,
it
I got
wrong.
a present for you. I got a present for you, Tony. Yeah.
But is it as bad? Are they as bad as the mana versus mana debate of game?
I
What?
say mana. I don't know. What is it? I said I mispronounced a British city one time. Oh, what was it? I should remember because of I still get messages about pronouncing it wrong. What city was it was something that is it looks
London?
like a straightforward word. It looks like a straightforward word, but I pronounced it very stupidly. And in hindsight, I'm like, what are you doing? No.
Berkshire?
No, what? I can't remember the name of it. It was I think it started with an S.
I remember my first city mispronunciation.
Oh.
I remember my first city pronunciation. I lived in a city called Dayton, Ohio. So when I first heard of Daytona, Ohio, I'm like Daytona, like Daytona, Florida. I'm like Daytona, Florida.
Daytona, Florida. Going to Miami, Florida.
Dayton, Florida.
There's a city an hour south of me called Manny, but it's spelled Many, M-A-N-Y, but they pronounce it Manny. So,
oh, how do you pronounce the city the city on the coast? The one that the Mardi Gras.
New Orleans.
Okay, I was wondering how you pronounce it differently than.
We invented the word.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did. New Orleans. Nouveau Orleans.
No, the French, yeah, New Orleans.
It's Nouveau Orleans.
Nouveau Orleans.
I heard that pronounced like several.
By the way, I love that town. I've been there so many times now. I love that town. The next time I'm there, I'll let you know because unlike you, I'm going to let you know I'm there.
Oh, I don't see how it is. What's funny is we were talking one time, only once, and you were like, "Hey, next time next time I go by Baton Rouge or New Orleans, I'll message you." I was like, "Yeah, we can totally meet up." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm 4.5 hours away from there now. I'm not an hour anymore." It's not because when I met up with Scientist Mel in New Orleans, I was only an hour because I was at Baton Rouge, at LSU, but I'm back up at Shreveport, so I can still make it.
Oh, really?
We would have to schedule in advance so that I would have 2 days off so I could drive down or something. So,
damn.
No, it'd be fun. I'd enjoy it. I haven't been there since. I could show you the aquarium. They have a zoo. They got an insectarium. you got a lot of neat stuff down there. There's lots of food, there are lots of restaurants and whatnot. So
I gotta get a plane ticket then come down to.
then afterwards, after all the fun is done,
What do you mean by that? Is Savannah into science, or is it just like what? Is that your thing? And I never see much from her.
oh, she likes science. She's not exactly settled on what she wants to do, I think, but
Like, who's Savannah?
Oh, I don't need to get personal. It's just like
No, yeah,
I
mean, yeah,
That
no,
you-
no,
I'd probably be coming down there with somebody else, and it'd be kind of cool to like hang out. But yeah, I definitely would love to see the insectarium. That'd be awesome.
yeah, they got some neat stuff there. It's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I'm of course, she doesn't like to be on a camera as much as I do. I love having people see my beautiful face, my mug.
It's funny, like 10 years
I don't
ago,
mind suffering.
I was camera
Go
shy
ahead.
10 years ago. That's why I got into photography and videos. So I would be behind the camera instead of front of it.
I got news for you. I'm camera shy now.
You gotta, Tony. Some people just have a face for radio.
That's me. Yep.
The first time I heard that phrasing, I was like, "He's got what? Oh."
Now, when people see my face, they're like, "Wow, did somebody open the Ark of the Covenant? What the hell?"
Oh my god, that's something. That is most certainly something, but I disagree. I think you're pretty.
Never say that again.
Well, now that's another statement. I'm running out of things to say, Tony. Do we have any other questions, either from the host or from the audience?
No, I think the audience is pretty much our only person has left the audience. So and yeah, we pretty much answered the peer reviewed how it go from hypothesis to peer reviewed theory like an hour ago. So
yeah, I totally forgot. that was our original talking point. Yeah, that's what's really funny is how what's funny is the thing I was mentioning earlier, like the phylogeny of eukaryotes, that is constantly like under revision. They're constantly redrawing the lines, or more of the bottom lines. A lot of the upper lines are pretty well established, but kind of at the base, there's a lot of questions as to who's closer to who and whatnot. And so there's a lot of talk, a lot of papers about that. So
especially with the newer like we get closer to our let's think about ourselves. The best topic of all humans know. We like which ones are our cousins, which ones are not are actually our parents or grandparents. It's kind of hard to figure it out sometimes.
Right. Well, from what I understand, and you can probably clear this up. From what I understand, there's certain clades that are just outside of the eukaryote realm, but they're not quite in the like the archaean or the bacterial realm.
Are you thinking of the archaeozoa?
Just because I don't know the terminology doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking.
No, that is that there was an idea years ago, I think back in the 80s. So a long time ago, long before there were any Jacksons about, where there was this, I think it was proposed by Thomas Cavalier Smith, that there were essentially eukaryotes that were pre-mitochondria. So they developed a nucleus, but they had not yet acquired mitochondria. He placed two clades, or at least originally there were two clades in that classification, Metamonada and Microsporidia. Both of them, it turns out, do in fact have mitochondria, they're just highly derived. Metamonada has their mitochondria are called hydrogenosomes. They're very they've been heavily evolved. The other one, Microsporidia, is actually a member of the fungus clade, the fungus kingdom. So it's Microsporidia is sister to all the other fungi, all the ones you can think of. Yeah. So it turns out, and their mitochondria are called mitosomes. So it turns out they do have mitochondria. They're just very derived.
I was going to say so. I was going to say so. The natural selection wiped that branch of the family tree out, but
yeah, yeah, it was a. I mean, because it's, more data had to be collected. It seemed like they didn't have, like they had all these organelles, but they didn't have mitochondria, and so that peer review was done. More data was gathered. More of their genes were sequenced. And for instance, one of the things in Microsporidia that was figured out was they had the genes for mitochondria, or they had some of the genes involved in mitochondria. And so it was like, something's kind of weird about this. Why would they have the genes for mitochondria if they don't have mitochondria? So turns out, nope, they still do. They still have them. So it's an old idea, and it's defunct now, but it was once a hypothesis.
Research? What a concept.
I just happen to know that because I've been reading about it recently. There is a book. There's a very good.
There's a book, Jackson.
There's a book. There's a book.
I've got a book.
I feel bad for any potential Australians listening out there, but there's a book, a very beautiful book titled "The Vital Question." It's by a biochemist named Nick Lane. He goes through abiogenesis. He goes through endosymbiosis. Absolutely fascinating book. I can't recommend it highly enough. Very good book. Like, he spends a lot of time going through abiogenesis. That was the first book I've ever read, which really goes into it in depth. The Ancestor's Tale kind of talks a little bit about it. They discuss, or Dawkins discusses the RNA world hypothesis a bit. Talks about like autocatalysis, but
yeah, I thought about that. It's about how it's like RNA DNA. It's like pretty much a one layer difference between the two. Like the three of the layers match up.
Well, I mean, thiamine is modified uracil, but the thing is, DNA requires enzymes to replicate, whereas RNA does not, which is part of the difference.
Okay, so was it just a mutation happened one day and like, oh, your DNA now?
Probably not. There was RJ likes to say DNA came along as like a part of the RNA system, which probably was eventually incorporated into the organism. But I don't think it wasn't like, a single mutation that just changed one to the other. There were probably a bunch of different things that were going on.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. How RNA viruses have, some viruses have DNA, but most viruses just have RNA. I was wondering if maybe they split up and the RNA people became viruses and the DNA branch became cells.
No, there are different. So viruses, there are two different, or there are kind of two different ideas for viruses. Either viruses are from sort of the pre-cell genetic elements and some of the pre-cellular genetic elements became viruses, or another idea is, viruses appeared after the first cells.
Renegades.
Right. It seems like it's kind of both, interestingly. I was reading a paper by Koonin where he proposes that viruses, or that at least some viruses, are the result of pre-cell genetics, and there are other papers on certain viruses that have arisen since
within.
Yeah,
maybe
genetic elements.
Maybe it's different between the RNA virus and the DNA viruses. So, some have DNA, some don't.
Yeah, I don't know, because viruses can have either unicellular or one-stranded or two-stranded RNA or DNA. They can have it either way.
Did you hear about this? I saw this, but I saw this video or something. I don't know if it's true or not, but that they're talking about using viruses to attack instead of antibacterials. They're using bacterial phages to kill bacteria. You heard about that? Hear about that?
I'm not sure.
I forget where I saw that, but you know how some bacteria are becoming immune to antibacterials. They're talking about how
sure.
They're gonna get bacterial phages to attack those bacteria. I don't know how true that is or not, or if it's still the early thing, but I read about that somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the superbug is one of those things, because we make some bacteria basically immune to antibiotics, that kind of stuff. So, and it's entirely possible. Huh?
So, well, you probably guys have to go. And we're at this point, we're just rambling.
Ramble.
All right. Well, hope I get you guys back soon again. Before you go, you want to shout yourselves out real fast?
Go ahead, Tony.
I'm Tony. I have a show called How Creationism Taught Me Real Science. And show I take the intro. You probably are not my intended audience. Much of my show are not my intended audience. They're supposed to be creationists who are expecting to see something they agree with, and they end up being disappointed badly, like high school prom badly. But anyway, other than that, I also do Prophet of Zod. I do a show. I play the voice of God on Prophet of Zod's show, and I have a lot of fun with that. He writes a great show, and I've many times plugged Jackson to him, saying, you got to get him involved. What's going on, Jackson? Why won't you be on the show?
I realized I just totally forgot to I was supposed to send him in the sound bites. Oh man, I totally forgot about that. I actually met Zod in Dallas. I got to meet him too.
So what voice are you going for?
It's a secret.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah. I also have a channel where I do YouTube-y things. I talk about stuff, mostly evolutionary stuff and things, biodiversity, genetics, zoology. I'd also talk to creationists and intelligent designers whenever they come out to play, because I don't get a whole lot of them. I don't know why. I miss them. I wish they would come back to me.
And both of you have the same thing. You both debate about Kent Hovind now, right? You both.
We have. That is true.
Yeah, the last time I debated him.
His Hovind virginity has been broken.
Are you going to go for a second round like Jackson did? Or are you done? Are you done?
I'm thinking about 2 more rounds. I'll decide what I can put together with him, but I mean, I want to keep him to the idea of scientific application, and he didn't present any of that last night, so we'll see.
So you start with like something simpler, like ABCs first.
That might be a good starting place for Kent. I definitely didn't. I didn't go down that route with him. What did I do? I called him out basically on just a couple of things I thought were hilarious that he said, and Yeah, but he really didn't even respond to me. He just shilled his stuff. So he
Yep.
really just said, hey,
Like, you're wrong, Jackson. You can find out why you're wrong on my new DVD.
yeah, that's all he did.
For $9.95.
I mean, if I knew that I could just sell my videos for $49.99, why would I even bother debating people? I don't understand. So,
But anyways, you can check their channels out. Links will be in the description below. We'll see y'all next time. As always, never stop learning and enjoy the randomness. We'll see you next time. Bye.